Hi everyone, Jen Jabel here for Country Craft Creations, and today I am going to get started on my latest design team project. This is featuring Simple Stories, Simple Vintage, 'Tis the Season. If you watched my design team package haul video that I did a few weeks ago, you saw the projects, or excuse me, the papers that I'm going to be using. And I did actually go ahead and order. I had ordered the Dear Santa frames, and I'm going to use those in another project with this paper if possible. But I did go ahead and order the correct ones for 'Tis the Season, which we will use in this album. So as you can see here, this is going to be a trifold album. So it has 3 panels. And I'm showing, I showed a sneak peek today that just shows some of the inside of the album. And what I want to do is do our lining for the chipboard, covering the chipboard inside, and then the pages. So I'll get those done, and then we'll go ahead and do this decorating that I have ready inside, and I can give you all the measurements of that. So I'm going to pull this stuff off so that you can see what we got going on here. I just love Christmas makes. I think they're one of my absolute favorites. Fall and Christmas. I have a hard time choosing between the two. I love making Halloween projects too, so it is what it is. So for starters, to make this style of an album, you can see that this is an album that opens, and then you have a panel here and a panel in the middle. So it requires, this is a 5.5, or excuse me, a 6 by 7.5 album. It's a different size this time than my usual go-to of a real square. I wanted to do something a little different. So you will use 3 pieces of the heavy chipboard that you can get at the Country Craft Creations store that measure 6 by 7.5. So 3 of those. And I always try to make sure that the chipboard, when I cut it, my width is where the chipboard bends less, and the up and down is the more flexible portion of the chipboard. My spines for this are 1.5. Let me grab my ruler just to be sure that I give you all the measurements as I go. I seem to have set it somewhere. Here it is. So these are going to be 1.5 by 7.5. So 2 pieces, 1.5 by 7.5. Now I did this using the CCC lay flat method, which I will post a link below for, but I've already done the covering. So for that, to cover your 3 6 by 7.5 panels, you will use 8 by 9.5 sheets of black artisan cardstock. And then for the spines, these are 4.5 by 9.5 to make your spine pieces. Okay. So now I have 2 pieces that are 4.5 by 7 3/8, and these are going to cover these areas here. And I'm going to flip this one because I don't want to see that writing. I used white, and I can pencil, and I can erase it, but I just didn't. So I am going to put some glue on here. And I always add a little extra glue to my chipboard, and also right along where the spine is, so that it just creates a little more, it just kind of dampens the paper so that when we try to flex this, it doesn't tear or pop a hole in anything. I'm just going to lay that on there. It should be the same width and just a little bit shorter on both the top and the bottom. So line that up and just kind of push it down. Now we're going to start by really burnishing the glue on one side, and you'll see that it's going to give. So you want to take your bone folder and just kind of push it down in there. This is the purpose for putting that glue up against my chipboard. And then I can go back and really burnish that down. This is just to get that paper stretched and okay so that it doesn't move or bubble. And I'm going to get that little bit of extra glue that's coming out of there. The glue, like I said, it just kind of softens the paper even more when you have it up against chipboard so that it doesn't tear. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this up and make sure that I'm able to bend it and then put this back down. Okay. Just make sure everything is going to turn. I'm going to look down inside of there, make sure I'm not bubbling. I'm bubbling a little bit on this one. Not quite dry enough, I don't think. Hello, everyone. So here we are going to go with the new format that I'm trying out for tutorials. At the end of this video, I will have the actual pieces, the actual video that I did of the 'Tis the Season papers and how to assemble everything. But I want to go over everything that you need to cut first. So for the album itself, you will need 3 6 by 7.5 inch pieces of chipboard, 2 1.5 by 7.5 inches of chipboard for your spines. And however you're doing how you're sticking it down to the paper, I am using score tape sheets. So 3 of these at 6 by 7.5 and 2 by 1.5 by 7.5 to match up with your papers and your spines. For the lay flat method that I've used, you will need 2 pieces at 4.5 by 9.5 for your spines and 3 pieces at 8 by 9.5 for your covers. Okay, so I'm going to set all the cover stuff aside because I'm not going to assemble everything. I am going to make this album with Graphic 45 Letters to Santa, and those are the pieces for that album. I'm not going to put the album together. I have a link below for the lay flat method. I also want to let you know, out of a package of Artisan, I used 14 sheets. I would suggest having extra just in case you make any mistakes with your cutting. But I can show you out of 14 sheets, these are the scraps that I have left. So not a whole lot. Here, give or take a few little pieces that I threw away because they were too small. These are what I have left. So I would say 15 or 16 sheets just to be safe of whatever color you're using. And for the Simple Stories, Simple Vintage 'Tis the Season album, I used black. So we have our accordion hinge piece. This is how you make your piece for your papers or your signatures to go on. 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, and I'm just going to go over with you really quick. So this will be scored. I need to grab a score tool. I thought I had one out, and I do not. So this is going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 3/8 inch, because I want 3/8 inch spaces. And then we're going to go over to 1 7/8, 2 3/8, 2 3/4, and 3 1/4. And that's going to give you your 3 1-inch sections. And we're going to put score tape on the backs of these as well. And I'll go ahead and do that with you because I'm going to need this anyways. So I am going to grab, I don't have any 1/2 inch, I don't believe. So I'm just going to use what I have. So at the inside portion of each one of these, I'm going to put this right down the middle. Trying to find my cutting tool. Here we go. Tear tool. So I'm going to skip that 3/8 and I'm going to go to that next 1/2 inch. And don't worry, because I don't have 1/2 inch right now, I'm going to add glue to these. I like to add glue anyways for stability. Skip the next 1/2 inch and the next 3/8. Did I do that right? Yes. And go here. Oh goodness, my fingers are sticky today. feel like that looks weird, but I guess not. Half, 3/8, half, 3/8, half. Okay, that is correct. Okay, so then you just want to smooth all that paper out, the score tape, because you don't want your score tape to get askew or peel off. And then I'm just going to add some glue as well, just so it's an added stability. And I'm going to close that up and burnish. And then before I take these off, I'm going to flip it, because it's always good to bend your hinges back and forth as many times as you can stand so that they are nice and pliable. So for that next portion, we have the 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and fold this way on that line. Line that up. I want to make sure everything is in line before you burnish. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull. It's going to look really, these look really wrong at first. But once they get in the book, they make sense. So we're going to go ahead and fold that 1/2 inch score line down. If it will cooperate with me. And burnish. And burnish. And go ahead and peel. I forgot to put glue on that one. Oops. That's all right. Go ahead and peel that last one off. And I'm not going to forget the glue this time. And you don't need a lot. I just use a little extra just for the sake of it. And then I want this one to fold. And I don't think I got my score lines quite crisp enough, is why I'm having trouble folding. If you score these really, really well, they go down a lot easier. Okay. So now what you will have, not sure what I did there. Oh, here we go. I'm just bending everything the wrong way, I guess. I'm going to fold this down. Fold this one back and burnish the middle one. And you can run up and down those score lines a few times, and you will have this left over. So you have this 1 inch that's going to go on our 1 inch spine, excuse me, 1.5 inch spine, and it will go in, leaving that 1/4 inch of space on either side of our spine. No, this is 3/4 of an inch. I apologize. So you will have 3/4. Trying to think here. My brain is not working today. This is what you're going to have with your 3/8 inch spaces. So we have 3/4 of an inch. 1/4. So you'll have 3/4. So you'll have 3/8 on either side. I don't know why I was off by that. So that is what you will have. This is your piece that will go on your inside spine for your pockets, for your pages. So let's get into the cutting of each one of our signatures. So signature 1, I'm going to put, oh, wait, just one moment. Your spine covers for the inside when you do your book. You're going to cover the spine, and I show that in my tutorial. But these are 2 pieces of 4.5 by 7 3/8 that you will need to cover your spines. And then we're going to have pocket pages. All 3 of our signatures are pocket pages. So you need 6 of these at 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. And we are going to go ahead and make these pocket pages. So each one of these 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. We want to score right at that 7 1/4. Now I say score it at 7 1/4 just to make sure they're all the same size. If you scored at 1/2 inch at the beginning, sometimes your paper may be a little off like mine is. You can see it's a little over that 7 3/4 mark, but that doesn't matter on the inside. What matters is this portion here. So I'm cutting or scoring at that actual 7 1/4 mark. Okay, I'm going to do that with all 6 of these. 7 1/4 on each one. All right, I have my 6 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 7 3/4, and those are all scored at 7 1/4. Okay, on that 7 3/4, we scored 7 1/4. Now, for each one of these, you want to go in and burnish, fold over, and burnish your score line. And for each one of these, I'm going to do one on camera for you. For each one of these, you're going to take one piece with your 1/2 inch flap to the right or the left, and one with it to the right. Okay, this is the easiest way that I know how to make pocket pages. I am sure there are many, many ways out there, and everybody does things differently. This is just the way that I learned. So add glue to that left side one. And you can miter these if you choose to. I am not. And I want to use my scoreboard for this because I want these to line up perfectly. So I'm going to push that up in there and just take a look, make sure. And then I'm going to burnish that. Go inside here, get any excess glue out of there, and burnish the inside as well. I'm going to make sure I have a good burnish on this 1/2 inch. And I am going to add glue to that 1/2 inch flap. And then I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to push up because I don't want any issues with buckling. It's going to buckle a little because it's a pocket page, but I don't want it to over buckle. So that makes your pocket page. One side slides, and if they get a little off, which this one did on this side, I'm not quite sure why, that's okay. It's not that much. But if they do, you can always trim it with your scissors. But this is where you will start. So you will decorate this, and then this will go in your book on those, the spine system, which I forgot to tell you on these, I always take my scissors and miter these slightly, just so that the pages fit a little bit better. So I'm going to miter both sides of each of the 3 pieces, that the tabs that the pages go on. So you'll see that this is going to slide over this better. And see, this one's not mitered quite enough. Sometimes it takes a little more of a miter. You can even make your hinge a little bit shorter if you want it to fit better. Okay, so this should fit right down on there, just like so. And this is what we'll have for our page system. So I'm going to put that aside, and we are going to grab the pieces for, I'm going to make a cut guide, so I want to make sure I have all that I don't need that yet. I don't need that yet. I'm looking for my signatures here. No, we're going to do the insides. So for the panels on the inside of the book that I did, this is this portion here that I'm going to show you how I made that. So you will need a piece that is 5 3/4 by 12, so 5 3/4 by 12, and one that is 5 3/4 by 4.5. The 5 3/4 by 4.5, we are going to score at 1/2 inch. Make sure it's at 5 3/4. So 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to flip it, I think, and score it. I want to make sure I have 5 3/4. So I'm going to actually fold this. I want a really good fit. And I'm going to score this right at that 5 3/4 because my paper might be just a little bit longer than that. And I want to make sure. And then on the bottom, you're going to flip it to that 4.5. This one doesn't really matter if the pocket's a little taller, and score again at 1/2. So you'll have 1/2 on both sides, 1/2 across the bottom, and then just take your scissors and miter right at the cross section of those score lines, like so. Okay, this will be our pocket portion of this little envelope, and I'm not going to assemble this. I will assemble it in my end portion of this tutorial. Right now I just want to get these pieces made with you, trying out this new format. And you can also notch this if you like. I did not notch mine in this album, but that's the bottom portion. For this portion, put this across your scoreboard at 12, and I can see that it is exactly 12. So I'm not going to worry about where this goes. So I'm going to score this at 5. And I'm going to fold that down, make sure it's nice and even. And then I'm going to grab my crocodile, and on the 1/2 inch, I am just going to go in and score that top 5 inches, or sorry, round those bottom corners of that top, because this is what becomes our top flap. Once I have this decorated, this will glue to here. You'll have a magnet here, cover your papers. You'll have a magnet here, cover it with paper, or you can put the magnet. I would suggest, I left mine black, the inside of my 'Tis the Season album, but you can put paper here. So you can put your magnet either side. If you're decorating this side, you can put your magnet here. And this will be that front pocket, and then this just adheres, just as you see here in this book, just like so. This will go up a little higher. Actually, that's a lot shorter. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but interesting. What you may want to do is, I don't know what I did differently, but what we may want to do is slide this up and put it on first on your book, and then take that bottom 1/2 inch and just kind of slide it down. It won't make a difference because you have that extra 1/2 inch of paper, and it's only about 1/8 of an inch short, and this way you don't have to cut and paste another piece, which is what I think I had done with this. And there you go. Okay, so that is that portion, and I'm going to stick my sticky on this and put this aside. Now on the back side here, we have this little pocket, and that is very simple. As soon as I find, oh, here we go. So the back panel pocket is 6 3/4, 3.5. Okay, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and score it 1/2 inch across the bottom. Let me just move my paper out of the way. I'm going to go and fold that in. And I want this at 5 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead. See, it's a little over. If I didn't do this, it would get a little wonky. Let me do that. Open that up. Now that assures that I have actually 5 3/4 of space for my actual pocket to fit on the page. We're just going to go in, cut at those cross sections, and fold that pocket. Fold all your 1/2 inch lines, score lines down. Again, I am going to notch this pocket. I think I did in this one. Let me double check. I did not, actually. So you can, if you want to notch this, you can. I did not. So that is our back panel pocket. For this portion here, the inside flap, which is just this portion, I made this one a little bit bigger for my Letters to Santa album than this black one here. So I'm going to cut here. I did 5 1/4 by 6 3/4. Okay. And we're just going to score this at 1/2 inch right down that side on the 5 1/4. I will fold this over, burnish, and then I rounded my outside corners with my crocodile and made that nice and neat. And you will have a magnet under your decorative paper here. Okay. The middle panel, so this section here, is a waterfall with a magnetic closure. Okay. 4 pages, waterfall, magnetic closure. So we'll do that one next. Show you how to get those pieces cut. So what you need for this is 4 4x6s, 1 1.5 by 5.5, and 1 at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So essentially, these, we're going to take them, put them on that 6 inch, and we want these all to be 5.5. So I'm going to score them at 5.5. And my camera keeps getting bumped. I'm not quite sure what's happening with my table today. Apologize if I'm shaking. 5.5. This is, again, just going to assure that all of my pages of my waterfall are the same size. 5.5. Now these I do like to miter. And I'm just going to put them together so they all have the same miter with a little stronger scissors. Those are my fussy cutters, my cutter bees, and those are not the greatest for this multiple pieces of paper. Just a slight miter, okay? So these are our waterfall pages. Then you have your piece that this will be for the journaling element. And your 1.5 by 5.5, we're going to score at 5.5. Or I'm sorry, at 5. So we need that 5 inches of space. Again, I am going to miter to make this more like a little tab. This is the part that will slip underneath your paper when we decorate, and I will have that all assembled done on the bottom with the proper papers. So this will go on like so. You will have your waterfall, as you see here. Waterfall. And this is this portion. So this glues underneath. This goes on top. And it has our magnet underneath there. And the other magnet, I will tell you, in case I didn't put that in my tutorial. The other magnet, so we have one here and one under the waterfall with a strip. Okay, and that holds all 4 pages, and it should still hold. Now, if you want a stronger hold, you could put 2 magnets. So once pictures are on there, it's a lot stronger. So next, we are going to move to the first signature, and I will show you what to cut for that. So, signature A, part 1, which is side A. Signature A, side A, is a flap system. So we have 2 pieces that are 5 inches by 5 inches, 1 piece of 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and 1 piece of 5 1/2 by 1 1/2. Okay, this is for the other side. For these, the 2 5x5s, you're going to score. I'm going to do this way. 2 5x5s, we are going to score at 4 1/2. And 4 1/2. Then these become 4 1/2 by 5s. Okay. You can miter these if you like. You don't have to. Then you have your 5 1/2 by 1 1/2. Put that on your board and score at 5. This will be another belly band. So we're going to go ahead and taper this into a tab, so it tucks easily under our paper when we decorate. Okay, and this will go on our pocket page. I'll show you here my page. This is our side A, and you will see that these, once I get them folded, that would help, huh? Always fold and burnish your score lines. This one will be on the top. This one will be in the bottom, like so. This will be underneath here. And this will go on the top, as you can see in the finished one here. So we have our flip, flip, flip. Okay. Next we'll do side B. You can assemble this one. Just set this aside. Moving on to side B. All right, so side B of signature 1, you need a 10 by 6 1/4, a 5 inch by 2 inch, a 5 1/2 by 5, and a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, let's start with this 10 by 6 1/4. We want to score this at 2 1/2. And then we want to score the other side at 2 1/2 to make sure that they're the same. Okay. And then we just want to fold these down and burnish. Perfect. These doors are what you will have, and this becomes a pocket when we glue it. You'll see in the tutorial we glue on the back side. We're going to glue here, here, and here. Okay. Then for your 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, you don't need to do anything with that. That is the top flap. The 5 1/2 by 5, you want to score on that 5 1/2 at 5. Go ahead and fold and burnish that. And then your 5 by 2, put it in your scoreboard at 2 and score at 4 1/2. This is another belly band, so we want to miter this to make it into a little tab. And this portion of the video is just mainly to go over the pieces that you need to cut. and how they go together so that you can have them all ready for the assembly portion of my video that we will get to here in a moment. So this piece is going to go on first. This is going to be our, let me see how I did this in this one, just to make sure. So we have, yes, this piece is going to go in the middle here. So your flap will glue down to that door there, okay? And then your 5x2 that's scored goes in the middle of that, and this goes on top of that with your magnet underneath here, okay? So that is that portion. Signature, that was signature 1B. So now we are on signature 2, which is super simple. This one will just have paper on the back, and then we're going to do a pocket on this side, a vertical pocket. So for the vertical pocket, for side A of signature 2, you have a 8 1/4 by 3 1/2. It actually goes this way, so it's 3 1/2 by 8 1/4. We want to score this at 1/2 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and fold this because, again, I want to make sure that I get that full 7 1/4. So I'm going to go down, same width height as my page. This I'm also doing a little bit thicker than I did in my original. I'm doing a 3-inch pocket rather than a 2 1/2 inch pocket. You can choose to do, but whatever you choose to do, make it a 1/2 inch bigger. This will become a 3-inch pocket. So I want to go to that 7 1/4 on that side, and then we're just going to open this back up, put it in here at that 3 1/2, and I'm going to score it at 3. Okay. Again, we're going to go ahead and miter right at the cross section of our score lines. Fold and burnish your score lines all down. And there is your vertical pocket that will go here. And like I said, I made this one bigger for my next album. I liked the little one, but I wanted it a little bit bigger, so to go over a little bit more. You can choose to make this as wide as you want or as skinny as you want. And then again, the B side is just, I had matted it in gold and then put the paper on. So signature 3, we're going to do stacked pockets. And for that, for 3A, you will need 3 pieces of paper. We're not going to score or do anything to these because these glue down as tuck pockets. The only thing I would say is to notch them. I did not notch the first one, but I'm going to this one. So we have a 5 3/4 by 5, a 5 3/4 by 4, and a 5 3/4 by 3. Now in my original, I made one of these a little bit bigger than I wanted. I wanted them all an inch apart, and the top one in my 'Tis the Season album is actually an 1 1/4 taller, and I didn't like that, so I fixed it. Okay, so for this, your 5 3/4 by 3, you're going to do your punch at 2 7/8 for your notch. On all of these, you just want to go to 2 7/8. And notch these, and these will stack on the page like so. Okay, so if we have our page out, what did I do with my page? I don't know. I did something with it. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. I had lost the pocket page. Here we go, that I was using as an example. Again, you'll make 3 of those. These will sit like this. You will glue the back one on and then glue each one on just around the sides and across the bottom. A very small amount of glue so that this lines up like so. You'll have 3 pockets, okay? That is our side A. Side B is our funnest part of this whole album for me. I just love this Z-fold system. So for that, you need several pieces. We are going to do first a 9x7, a 5x6, a 5x5, and a 4.5x3 for this little front pocket. So first take your 9x7, and if it's a little over, in this instance, you're going to want to trim it. So I'm going to have to trim this one. You want exactly 9 inches. So I really need to trim this one down a little bit or it's going to stick out. So, but I want this scored at 4.5, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this. So I'm going to move my scoreboard. Trim this down because I do not want any overhang. Skim that right off of there. And then these should fold perfectly together, and they do. That's what you want. So your first portion is done. Go ahead and burnish this really, really well. Put the foot line around because I don't want to see that. I'm going to have to erase it no matter what. Go ahead and go in and erase my writing because I wrote in the middle of the page. Usually I use stickies or I try to write somewhere I know paper's going to cover, and I didn't for some reason there. So now what you want to do is take your crocodile, 1/2 inch, keep it folded so that they all line up, and score all the way around. And you will have this piece, okay? Bring our scoreboard back in. Grab your 5x6. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to put it in backwards, actually. On that 5, which mine is a perfect 5, I am going to put this at 4.5. Score that right down that 4.5. This one I am going to miter. Don't really have to because we're going to round the corners, but I did it anyways. And we're going to fold this down, burnish it out, and go ahead and round all your corners again. Now, I had assembled mine, this next piece, before I rounded my corners, so there's a square spot on the one in my 'Tis the Season album. So I actually came up with a better way to make this Z-fold so that you don't have that. As you can see on this one, this corner did not get rounded because this was one piece. So I'm doing it differently than I did originally. But this is already going to be assembled and decorated in my tutorial. I'm just going to show you how to place it in the book. So then the 5x5, we want to put this in and on the 5 and score right at 4.5. And my writing is going to end up being upside down on this one, but that's okay. And do the same thing, your 1/2 inch crocodile. Go around all of those corners. And like I said, you don't have to miter because this is going to do it for you. And there we go. Now you have these 3 pieces. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Almost done here. Open up your, let's do this one first. So this is your 5x5. I'm going to turn this on the other way. I can assemble this with you because I don't do that on the, when I put it all together. Put glue here on your 1/2 inch tab. And you want to line this up with the bottom portion of your 5x6 that has that. Go right to that corner and right to the bottom. Line that up as nicely and neatly as you can. And go in and burnish that inside. Okay. And I actually did this wrong. Well, goodness. 1 second here. I needed to do this one first. So go to your 5x6 one and put your glue on. Not sure why I did that. These are a little bit tricky, but it happens. So right on the inside of this one is where you want to put this one, not where I just put it. Hopefully I caught it before you glued it down. Go ahead and burnish that, open it up and burnish it again. And then this fun guy, I'm going to go ahead and re-glue this. We'll go to the inside of this one. And just line everything up. And your front one may go over just a little bit, just so that they fold. It happens. So this is what you will have. So you will have this portion here. This will fold down this way. This one will fold back. You'll want to burnish this down so it folds properly, and then this one will fold forward. Okay? So then you have that mechanism. And when this one is glued to the page, also it is glued on the sides and across the bottom as a pocket so that we can put that little embellishment in there. So that is all the pieces that are needed and cut, besides the decorative papers. And I will go over those as well as possible when we assemble everything. I will also have a cut guide for what you need. All of my papers and mats are always 1/8 of an inch difference. So each piece is 1/8 of an inch narrower and shorter this way, both ways, vertical and horizontal, 1/8 of an inch. And I go down to get my matting the way that it is. So now we'll move on to assembly. Oops, I almost forgot our little pocket that goes on the front of the Z-fold. So this is the 4.5 by 3. You're going to score this at 1/2 of an inch on 3 sides. I would suggest doing this one right at that 2.5, and then you can just score 1/2 of an inch all the way around. This is just another gusseted pocket, so you will miter your corners and then just fold all of your flaps in. And I did punch mine. Make sure everything's nice and cool. That gives you a 3.5 wide pocket. So you need 2 3/4. No, 1 3/4. I apologize. Yeah, 1 3/4 for your notch. And that is that pocket. And just keep in mind that you're going to need to notch your papers when you make them as well for that. So that is that. Now we'll move on to the cover and the decorating of the inside and putting things together. And I am going to set the actual book aside. And we are going to make the inside portion front and back. Not the middle section yet, but the front and back. So the front section is going to have a gold mat and a white mat. And then we will have this pocket page that sits. I actually don't think I'm going to use the white. I don't need it on this one. we'll just see the gold underneath. Let's see here, which we got. Yeah, we'll do it this way. So all you'll see is the gold. So you'll have a piece of paper that you mat the inside with. I'm using a gold foil from my stash, and it is 5 7/8 by 7 3/8, and that will go on before the pocket. So now we're going to make this fun little pocket, and I'm going to remove my decorative papers from it so that I can show you how to assemble the pocket. So you'll have 3 pieces. One that is 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. This will be our base. You will have one that is 6 3/4 by 4 1/2. So you'll put it in your board at 6 3/4. Score that at 1/2 inch and 6 1/4, and then turn it and score it at 4. And that's going to give us a 4-inch pocket by the width of our little pocket page here. It's an envelope. Then you're going to have a 5 3/4 by 5 1/2, and you're going to score this on that 5 1/2 at 1/2 inch, right down there. And this is the top. Now I used my crocodile at 1/2 to round my corners. I'm just going to burnish that down. This will go on top. I'm not going to worry about the writing this time because we are going to be covering that with paper, so it's totally fine. I'm going to put this in my board just to make sure I line it up, as long as I don't move it. Make sure that's on there nice and straight. That is our flap, as you can see. Burnish that one out, and then we have our pocket. Before we put the pocket on, though, I took a scrap of the red polka dot singles that you can get, and this is cut at 5 5/8 by 5. Now you can cut it whatever length you want. If you want it to go all the way down, you can put it all the way down. I just wanted enough to make sure that my pocket was going to cover it nicely. So that is how I did mine. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on here. A lot of people like to cover the whole pocket so whatever they put inside doesn't get hung up. Some people put tape at the bottom so that nothing gets hung up. There's many different ways of doing these where you have a pocket on the bottom and you don't want to double or triple mat it like the rest of the album. And I wanted to have space to put stuff, so I didn't want to over mat this. So I'm just going to wipe off any excess glue. As for our pocket, you did the 1/2 inch on 3 sides, and then just miter your corners right at that cross section where they come across. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this down. Put glue on all of those 1/2 inch tabs, and I am going to line this up to my paper. I like to use my scoreboard a lot to keep my projects straight. I do not like it when my projects get off track or super crooked. And that does happen sometimes. So now you have this fun little pocket here, which is not gluing down for some reason. Let's add a little more glue. Not sure why that wasn't cooperating. Okay, excuse me. So then I took my gold paper once again. This is a 5 5/8 by 2, or excuse me, by 3 7/8 piece of the gold from my stash. So whatever you've decided to use to mat with. I'm going to go ahead and place that down. And this will line up quite closely with the red paper that I put here. If I measured everything correctly, which it looks like I did, it should line up really nicely with that. Next is the second mat, and this one for me is white, and it is 5.5 by 3 3/4. And this is just white cardstock from my stash. There is a white artisan that you can get that would go perfectly as well. Put that white down. And then I have a piece of the decorative paper, the Simple Stories paper, that is 5 3/8 by 3 5/8. And that's our last piece that will go down. Yes, this is side. I couldn't remember if I did the plaid on the front. I love Simple Stories papers because they have all different bold patterns, and then they have, you know, like these plaids and polka dots that go so well when you're trying to coordinate everything. Okay. And there is the bottom of our little envelope pocket. I will have something on here where I put a magnet, or I'm going to use one of the brads from the collection, one of these here, as my closure. Not sure which one yet, but I will be concealing the magnet underneath here. I probably should have put it on, but I wanted to show you how to do all of this. So that being said, here is our covers for this. I cut my gold paper, 5 5/8 by 4 7/8. My white paper, 5.5 by 4 3/4, and the plaid side of the paper I cut to 5 3/8 by 4 5/8. Okay, and that's our top flap, and all those were rounded just like the flap was with my crocodile. So that will all go together like so. I will put a magnet underneath of here so that it adheres. Once I figure out how I'm going to cover that now, I'm not quite sure. I might just take a strip of paper like so that matches the paper here and put my magnet, that's upside down, but put my magnet under it. Yeah, that'll look good. I'll just do that. Okay, so that is going to be the envelope that will adhere to the inside. The back pocket piece that you will need for the back of the full back cover inside is going to be a standard pocket. So this is a piece of paper that was cut to 6 3/4 by 3 1/2, scored on 3 sides at 1/2 inch, and then your mitered corners. Decorated with papers going from largest to smallest at an 1/8 inch difference. That's our back pocket. Okay, so that's what I have for that, the inside, and we'll put those together at some point. Next, what I have is Signature 1. I will show you, I have a prototype that I did so that you know what pieces you need. So Signature 1, side A, you're going to need your base page, which is 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. Okay. And then we need a 5 by 5 scored at 1/2 inch down one side, which I'll do these with you with the black paper. And that closes. And then another 5 by 5 scored at 1/2 inch on the right side. Then this will have a magnet. So we have a 1 1/2 inch belly band that goes underneath here. And then you have a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square that will go on top of that little belly band, and it'll act as a magnet closure. Okay. And like I said, we will go through these. Now this one, after I put it together, I decided I didn't like the placement of this. So I made this a little larger and I slid it up, but we will get to that. So for the first one, I'm going to take our scoreboard. I'm going to set my scoreboard aside, actually, so I don't get glue all over it. I don't have one of those nifty little mats that you put on there, so I don't want glue all over it. So the one that has our right side scored 1/2 inch, we're going to go ahead and add glue to the back of that. And I want to line that up with the top of my page, top left, okay? And you want to get this right up to the edge. And then just pick up your paper, your page, and just make sure that you don't have any overlaps or any offsets. You want to make sure it's nice and even. And I even got mine just a little askew, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put that one on and then just open it up. And we're going to go ahead and burnish this a little better. At least mine is not quite burnished enough. Add glue to our 1/2 inch tab that is to the right. That one is going to adhere right in that bottom right hand side all the way down to the corner. And you can also pick this up and kind of tap it on your table just to make sure that you're not hanging over. If it hangs over a tiny bit this way, it's not going to hurt anything. You still have a 1/4 inch space in your album. The pages are 5 3/4 and the book is 6. So you will still have space. Now, in doing this, I just realized I didn't cut decorative paper for these, but that's okay. So now you have your 2 flaps, okay? So for the 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, this is going to act as our magnetic closure. So I like to set mine on here and dry fit it just to see where my corners are going to end up. I kind of want them as even as possible as far as where they go here and where they go here. And if you're super, super picky, you can always measure. I'm not that picky, but I do know that I want it pretty similar. Push it over just a hair. And that is going to give me, if I measure, about 1/2 inch of hangover. And that works for me. So then that little 1 1/4 inch strip that I talked about, we need that to be in the middle of this. And it's going to line up with our paper. So I am going to say that I need this here, my handy dandy white pencil. And then I'm going to put it on my mini scoreboard so I don't have to pull out that big one again. My little score buddy. And where that line is, I want 1/2 inch from that. So I'm going to put this on the 5. And I am going to score right at 1/2 inch and at 5. And then I'm just going to snip this off. And that will make this 5 1/2 inches, 1 1/4 inch wide, okay? And that's just going to act as our little band once we get it on here. Next, I need to grab some magnets. Go ahead and fold that little 1/2 inch score mark over. This is going to adhere to the back of this, like so. And you want to get this right about in the middle of your 4 1/4. And then this will go over this way. And it will glue to this page. Now you can glue it under this tab if you like. You can even wrap it all the way around to the back if you want to. I'm just going to opt to glue it right on top here and then put my paper over it. That will be our first signature. I just need to pause and find my magnets. I thought I had them out and I don't. So I'll be right back. All right, got those magnets. So let's go ahead and assemble this piece first. I'm going to put this on the back. So just go ahead and add glue first to the whole strip. If my glue will cooperate with me today. And like I said, you want to try to get this really close to the middle of the page. I actually need to set it, dry fit it on here first, so I know how far over it goes. And I actually did that wrong. I apologize. I'm going to recut this really quick. I put glue on it too soon. So I need a 1 1/4 by, what did I say? 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. So let me throw this one away and grab a strip from the side over here. I have all of my little scraps and such off to the side. And let's just grab a smaller cutter here. I'm going to go to 5 1/2 and then 1 1/4. And you can do wider if you like. You can do thinner for your bands. Just keep in mind that the wider it is, the more it's going to hold. And I think I'm actually, now that I think about it, I might, no, I'll just stick to the same. So 1 1/4 is what we had. Ugh, this cutter is terrible. Let's try that again on a better cutter. I think I need to sharpen my blades on my guillotine trimmers. I'm going to pull this one out and do that again because it's gnarly. 1 1/4. Well, if I didn't have Butterfingers this morning, much better, much cleaner. Okay. So now I need to bring out that little score buddy again and get a 1/2 inch score for our tuck spot. And we're going to go ahead and adhere this on here first this time because I don't want to put too much glue on it again. I apologize for that. So we want this right about here, I do believe. Yes. Over maybe just a touch. There we go. All right, so this is where I'm putting this. I'm going to hold it down, and then I'm just going to add glue to that tab. I'm keeping a hold of it because I don't want to lose my place where I have it. And then just get it on there nice and straight and burnish. Get rid of the excess glue, of course. And now we have our little band, and this will be a lot sturdier. I'm using Artisans, it's very sturdy, but this will be even sturdier once we add paper to the back side of it. So now we can take our little 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 and line it up where we want it. Just gonna be right about there. And I'm just gonna take this little white pencil and I am gonna make a mark for myself that I can erase. So I know that I only need to put glue down past that white line. I don't want to go over that white line. That's what I should have done the first time. Live and learn. Okay, we're going to line this up right about in the middle. And I can actually just go over that white line a little bit. And check that for, and there we go. Open that up. Look at that, it's perfectly on the edge. Turned out just right. All right, so that will be that portion, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna decorate this side because I can. Open it up first all the way. We're gonna start from the inside out. And I have cut a piece of this paper. Again, I'm using Simple Stories, Simple Vintage, 'Tis the Season. And this is the Christmas Spirit page. And I've cut this to, our page is 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. So this is 5 5/8 by 7 1/8. Okay. We're just going to glue that down. Actually, I need to put a magnet in there first. 1 second. Jeez, my brain is not working this morning. So I have all my magnets lined up in this groovy little formation. I grab a plus and a minus from in here. Put this back. And I need to figure out about where this is going to go. So first we're going to put our magnet on the underside of this. So we'll start. Why is that? Is it 2 minuses? It is. That's why. Goodness. I need pluses. All right, I'm just going to do it that way. I don't know what the deal is there. Having some magnet struggles today. Goodness. There's a plus. Okay. I like to do this with the plus and minus because then you can take the sticky off and you can figure out right where your magnets need to go. So I'm going to take the sticky off. I have them together, so I have my plus sticker on one side and my minus sticker on the other. And I want this to hold everything down. So I'm going to go right about there. So right inside there, and I pull the minus sticker off now. And I am going to try, oh, that's not going to work because we have this here. Sorry, more boo-boos. Okay. Well, let's see here. If we can figure this out. I should have put the magnet in first. Goodness. I'm hoping it's right about here, but it'll move. Magnets have a tendency to, perfect. Okay, then just push it down, and there you go. Now we can add glue to our back piece. Again, this is 5 5/8 by 7 1/8 of the decorative paper. And I didn't mat this. The top pieces are going to be matted in a gold foil paper from my stash. You can mat this, but the matting that I'm using is a thicker, like 80-pound, 85-pound even, foiled paper, so it's really heavy. And I don't think these would close as nicely once you add pictures or anything to it. So, as you can see, it's kind of a stiff paper. So now when we close this, look at that. It's all going to close for us. Okay. So the other decorative pieces that I have, I need a small piece, and I grabbed a little strip here. I think I'm actually going to grab a different one, though, because that's a lot of red. We're going to do this green here. I have this little tiny piece, and it just happens to be the right width. So I just need to figure out what I have here. I have 3/4 of an inch, so I need 5/8 of this cut. I'm just going to grab this fun little guy here. Actually, no, that's not going to work. It's hard to find one that does the 5/8. It's going to be right here. 5/8. Okay. We're just going to glue that little, oh, no, that's too big. Is that 5/8? No, I actually cut 3/4. sure. There we go. I am not the greatest when it comes to these smaller measurements, not gonna lie. I probably just need to invest in a little bit better cutter for this kind of stuff. I have probably 5 cutters, but none of them seem to do exactly what they need to do. I'm just gonna skim with my scissors just a tiny little bit more. And yours may differ from mine a little bit, and that's okay. It's highly possible. Just depends on how far over you wanted your magnetic piece. Go ahead and put that down. And that looks okay. There we go. All right. So now that one's covered. So for these inside pieces, I have cut, the first one has the gold. And then I want to look at this really quick because I want to make sure that I'm liking how this looks. I think I wanted the plain here. And then I did the stripes and the gold here. And then it closes. And yes, that does still close. I wanted to make sure before matting them that our magnet would still hold. And then we're going to have this fun little piece right here. Super cute. And I'll probably put something from the stickers or something down here. Like I said, you will have seen when you see the walkthrough of the finished album. So do we like the stripes there, or do we like the stripes on the bottom? Let's see which way I like it better. Can also do polka dots. I do have the polka dotted side. Stripes, polka dots, and this. Yeah, I think I like that better than the plain red. Okay. So I'm just going to glue all of these together. I'll tell you what the measurements on these are. So the gold pieces for the two 4.5 by 5s is what they become after we did the scoring. The 2 gold pieces are, for me, you can use matting of any color you want. Mine are 4 3/8 by 4 7/8. And then the decorative paper, the Tis the Season paper is 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then for the top square, my gold is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then of course I have one of the 4 by 4 cut aparts from the 4 by 4 element sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these off camera and I will be right back. Now we're going to move into putting the pages into this portion. So we made this one. This is the next one on side B, and we made all the parts to it, but now I'm going to assemble it with you before it goes in the book. We did side A. Pull all this off, and we're going to do side B. So side B, I used the black and white polka dot, and I am going to put that down first. And obviously you can use any paper collection you want, any of the patterns you want. You definitely do not have to follow mine to an exact. I just like to try to do some of the measuring, or excuse me, decorating with you so that you can see. So then we made our little flip with the magnet here, and we are going to assemble this all together, and I will tell you all of the sizes. So the inside of this one also has that black and white polka dot. This measures at 4 7/8 by 6 1/8. Okay, and then I'm going to have 2 white pieces. These are going to be 2 3/8 by 6 1/8. These will go on the inside of our doors. These are for photos, and you're able to put a couple 2 by 2s on these. I will be adding probably a little bit of embellishing to these when I do my full decorating. Okay, and then the other one. And you can use patterned paper for this. You can use colored paper if you like. I am just choosing to do the insides of mine simple white photo mats. Might have got that one just a wee bit long. It's interesting. Sometimes our cutters get askew, I think, and that happens. So then we're going to go to this patterned paper. Now I did cut this so it lined up. There we go. It's that way. Okay. I like to take, if I have patterned paper, I like to line it up, cut from the same pieces. And these are going to be the same as the white. I could also flip this and do it this way if I wanted to, but I'm using the green. Again, these are 2 3/8 by 6 1/8, both of these. Just line it all up. Get rid of any excess glue. And do the other one. Oh, good. I thought I put them on backwards. That would not be good. My patterns, I mean, I could still do it, but my patterns would not line up together the way I would like. And now I just got glue everywhere. Alrighty. And you should be able to line this one up with the bottom and top of the last one, which will make it a lot easier for placing it. All right, so now our doors are done. Okay. The back side of our flips both have the white paper backings. Did I cut them? Yes, this goes on this one. Did I cut one for this one? I don't believe that I did. So we need, this is 5 by 5. So I need to cut a 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 white square really quick here. Just bear with me. Got 4 7/8 and 4 7/8. And that is our photo mat for the back of this, which also covers, these will cover magnets, which is nice. Go ahead and put that down. I keep losing my bone folders. I don't know what is happening. My craft room is eating my bone folders. It's like a dryer. Okay, and then I took some scraps I had here, I don't know where they went, of black and white polka dots. They're just little strips. Your belly band may be a little bit different than mine, but I just cut these to fit where this is, just so it has a nice finished look. The details, gotta love the details. And then I have one for the front as well. Just adds a little something. Like I said, that's a detail. Okay. So then on this front portion, oh wait, let's put a white one on this. I'm going to move this over out of the way. And we're going to put our white piece down here. 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 is what this one is. The other one was 3 7/8. No, this one is 4 1/4. So this white, I didn't tell you, is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. All right. Make sure that that does not go over. You want to make sure that you have space next to your score line when you're placing these. Okay, we have a magnet in there, we have a magnet in there. So now we're going to go ahead and put this one down and decorate it. So this will have the gold foil paper, 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. And I will say, originally in my sneak peeks, before I forget to tell you, I had this idea in mind to use some stars that I had cut from my brother Scan and Cut. And I don't know how to utilize them. I was going to make a waterfall out of them, and it just didn't quite work out. So hopefully in the future I can figure out put my idea to truth and do that for you. Just isn't going to be with this. And then I have this. We can do this, or we can do the red plaid. I think I'm going to do the red plaid. Let's see. Put this on top. We'd have red plaid. Yeah, we're going to do the plaid because I just think that looks nicer. We already have green in the background. So then this is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I have got the dropsies today. And put this upright. So this is going to go right down on that gold. And again, I chose not to double mat this section and just do the gold mats on these flips because of the thickness. I want to allow room with those magnets to place photos and have those magnets still hold their strength. Okay, flip, it still closes. Perfect. This one we're also going to have gold, and this is going to be 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. Whoa. This paper, I tell you, this, like I said, not my favorite foil paper, what I'm working with. It works, but I think I could probably find something a little better. And then our little 4x4, which looks like I might need to trim this 4x4 out just a wee bit. Nope, it's fine. So, and I picked one of the 4x4 elements. This one's really cute with the skates. That goes right on top, leaving our gold showing all the way around. All right. And now that section is done. So we have our flip this way with the photo mat, flip this way with the photo mat, and then our 2 flips this way. And like I said, I will embellish further. But this will also go. I want to make sure that you're doing this the right direction. Don't put it upside down. So look at your other side. And then we'll put this down like so. Just like that. And I'm also going to glue this down as a pocket so that I can stick a photo mat from the top. I need a decent amount of glue on this. And then as I've got it here, I just want to kind of, and this was my boo-boo, remember, so I covered it in white paper. You don't have to do that if you didn't boo-boo. So I don't want to make my insert more than 4 inches by about 6 1/4 with a tab sticking out. So we're just going to put that down towards the bottom a little so we can have a tab. And you can use those polka dots. When you're using polka dotted paper, one of the things I love is I can use them to line me up. And we're going to open this all the way up. It's going to be the easiest way to burnish this down. Just run across where those glue lines are. Hopefully I'm not getting too far out of the camera frame. It looks like I might be just a little off. There we go. But yeah, you can use those polka dots to help you line up where your paper goes, and that is extremely helpful sometimes. I think I might need to strengthen this a bit, but no, it's fine. Isn't that pretty? I just love this. And then, like I said, I'll put something in the top that has a little tab that sticks out, and that will be our signature 1, which can go in the book. So signature 2, another pocket page, is very simple. This one is just going to have this gorgeous paper that I cut. This is the top portion. It goes here, like so. And the reason for this is because our next page that goes this way is going to line up with the bottom portion of that paper. This is not, I don't think I got any gold paper cut for this. I did not. And I think that I need that. So again, we're going to cut a piece of gold. So let me do that really quick. I'm not quite sure why I didn't cut any for that. So we need to cut a piece of the gold. I have 5 3, so 5 5/8 by 7 1/8. And a little tip from me to you, I always have this little bin. You probably can't see it in camera. Maybe you can. Anyways, I have this little bin next to me that I keep all of my scraps as I'm cutting so that I don't have to go back and look everywhere or cut paper that doesn't necessarily need to be cut. So yes, I am going to put my gold paper down first. This does not have any flips or flaps on this page. This is just a really pretty page. I may put a pocket. Probably not, though. I may just put some embellishing on this page. Like I said, I haven't thought out my entire decorating process, but you will have already seen it if you watched the walkthrough and see what I came up with. I did not do a full prototype making this one. I did some of the pages, some of the signatures in a craft, as you saw when I was showing you how to make them. And then I kind of switched them around here and there just because I didn't really care for the way some of them were looking. Right now I'm trying to find, there it is. I want to smooth this glue out a little bit. I don't like that I can see the little squiggly lines of glue under that gold paper. All right, so then I have my black piece of the decorative paper, and this is 5 5/8 by 7 1/8. So we need to cut this down. So we need to cut this to 5 3/4. No, 5.5. And 7. Yeah, 7. Let's cut it off the bottom so that we don't lose any of that gorgeous flower at the top. Okay, now I want to decide. Let me put the more black on my, yeah, we'll do it this way. Okay. Go ahead and put this page down. I just love this paper with gold. That's why I chose to use this, even though, like I said, it's not my favorite paper from my stash, this gold. I would much rather have like an artisan style paper in gold. But I'm trying to use up some of the stuff that I have, so I went with this. So this is going to be the side A, and side B, what did I have for side B? Oh, it's a pocket page. I apologize. I am just not with it today. So for this, I will have, again, I did not cut gold for this one, and I need to. Not quite sure what happened here with the gold paper. I'm not having all the pieces that I need cut. So let me grab another one here. We want to do that 5 5/8. Okay. By 7 1/8. And then I have this gorgeous white polka dots. This is kind of an off-white polka dot. It's from the solids that you can get with this collection. I'm going to do 5.5 by 7 on that. Okay. This is our side B. Also, no flips in this one. We're going to have a side pocket on this one, so no flips or flaps. So we can just glue down our paper and go. Start with the gold matte. The one nice thing about foil paper is it's pretty slick, so you can maneuver it to get it straight a little better than some paper. I guess it doesn't really scratch. I'm using a really smooth bone folder though. I think if I was using anything that had any give to it, it probably would scratch my paper. And I don't want that, so just want to get it as flat as possible so it doesn't crinkle up my page. Then we have that off-white. You can use any color you choose. Okay, and this will have a side pocket. So this is going to be, trying to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yes, this is going to be this side. So technically this is side B. This is side A. Yes, side A. So this is going to have a pocket, and we're going to have this gold and this green on it to go next to this one. Okay. Yes, A, B. I didn't want, so this one I did bulk on both sides, and I don't want to put bulk on the inside. So that's the reasoning behind the smaller pocket. So this is just your typical pocket. It is going to measure the same length as our paper plus an inch. So we have, I'm not quite sure what happened there. That is not correct. All right, just give me a second here. I need to cut a new pocket because we have 7 1/4 inch pages. So I need 8 1/4 by 2. So, all right. Goodness. I am having so many mix-ups today. So I need 8 1/4 because we need those extra 1/2 inches. And then I did my gold already and my green, so I need to see what I made the width of the pocket. So 2 1/4 plus a 1/2. So 2 3/4 is what we're going to do here. Okay, 8 1/4 by 2 3/4. Grab a scoreboard. We are going to score at 1/2. Okay. And we are going to score at 7 3/4. We're going to flip to the lengthwise and score again at a 1/2. Okay. Get my scoreboard out of the way. I'm going to cut these, miter these corners, just like a typical gusseted pocket. I'm going to fold and burnish all of our score lines on both sides so they're nice and neat. Nice and crisp so they don't pop up too much. All right, now let me dry fit this really quick just to make sure I measured correctly, and I did. Okay. So, yes, I want it on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate it. I have gold that is 2 1/8 by 7 1/8. I'm going to start there. Have a nice pretty pocket. I feel like that's a little long. Not sure. 2 1/8. Yeah, I cut that just a bit long. So I'll just take this off really quick. I'm not sure what happened there, but I really need it to be exact. So I'm going to cut that again. It's not going to hurt my pocket. Boo-boo after boo-boo today. So we're going to go 2 1/8. Not a bit over because it won't sit right on the pocket if I do. Like that one did. And then I want 7 1/8. All right, this should be better. I'm going to dry fit it to make sure. yes, much better. Okay. The other one I had cut a bit long, and I think it's because that pocket was really wonky. So when I measured it, that's what it came out to, which is incorrect. But we definitely want it to be a nice matte. So there we go. Still seems a little off to me, but that's all right. Okay, I'm gonna get all that glue pushed down. Got a lot of it. And then I have this gorgeous plaid that is 2 inches by 7 inches. It's the back side of one of the element sheets. I believe it's the journaling elements, if I remember correctly. Can't really tell from this piece per se, but it's a gorgeous plaid. And it goes nicely. And that's what I wanted. So that is what we have. All right. It's going to slip around a lot on this gold paper. So it's another thing about foil paper that I can give you a tip on, and that is when you're gluing paper on top of it, you really want to hold your paper down because it will slide all over and change the direction of your paper, make it crooked. So then we're just going to glue those 1/2 inch tabs. And we are going to put this on the pocket so the opening faces our spine. So you want to put the folded edge on this side. So here's that side of this. This needs to be on this side, okay? So when we turn this, this is the next page. And you just want to line this up with your black base page because it should be exactly the same size. If everything is cut correctly, it should be exactly lined up with your black paper, corner to corner. And then just slip your bone folder in there and kind of push down all of your tabs. See how nice that looks? And it also goes really well with our spread here. This will close like so. And then you have this. Now our final signature for this portion, we made the zigzag. I've already decorated mine, and I've added a piece of twine around it that needs to glue underneath to hold it closed because we're not doing a magnet here. I've also used that same white paper, which I'm not sure why I did that. That's all right. Probably because I wanted a really mute background on this, but I'm not sure I'm still going to do that. And I also forgot my gold paper on both of these. So let me just cut 2 more mats of gold really quick. Okay, so for our signature 2, we got that done with that. Signature 3's side A, I've taken a scrap. I don't need this to go all the way down, so I did cut it at 5.5. Whatever you have that you want to put on the top, if you want to cover the whole page, you can. Just keep in mind that we're going to be putting stacked pockets on here, tuck pockets, and so the page will get really bulky the more paper that you use. So I'm using this plaid. I'm just going to put it right up here at the top. Getting a nice border of the golds. And my gold mats are the same size as they are throughout for each page. Again, those are 5 5/8 by 7 1/8. So that is my top piece, okay? Next, I'm going to start adding, make sure there's no glue under here because you want to be able to put embellishments, tags and such in here. So my next one, I'm going to take what I showed earlier for cutting, 5 3/4 by 5 inches. This is going to be our first stacked pocket. And we are going to just glue down one side, across the bottom, and up. Now, you could gusset these if you choose. I am not doing that. This should go right with your black paper. So technically, you don't have to put the gold all the way across either. You can, or all the way down. You could cut a strip and just put it on the top if you wanted to. Now this, for my system, I will have a bifold that flips up that will go, and I probably should have notched that, but I still will be able to. And I will have tags and such. So this one doesn't need to be notched probably, but my next ones do. The next one is 5 3/4 by 4, and I am going to go ahead and get my envelope punch board, and I'm going to notch that out. So we have 5 3/4, 2.5, and 2. My head's going to be in the camera, sorry. We want to go to 2 7/8 would be about our middle. We're going to do that. And you're going to add this one the same exact way. We're just going to put glue down the side, across the bottom, and up the other side, just like so. Place that one next. Line it up perfectly with your paper. And just try to push the glue outward so that it gives you more space. We will burnish these with a bone folder. Just, you don't want to push too much of the glue towards the center. I like to just run a bone folder right along the side so it kind of gets that roundness going, kind of wraps around the last one. And I forgot to put my paper on. This needs to be on here, and I should have done that. So let me just detach this. I apologize. Another oops. Doing the oopses. So I cut a strip that is the 5 5/8, I do believe, or 5.5 is it? It's 5 5/8 of the black and white polka dot. Doesn't really matter as long as it is tall enough to cover whatever is going in. If you're going to notch, like I'm doing the next one, my glue is clogged. So in other words, you want to be able to not see that notch, the black paper under there. So we're just going to pull this down, line it up just with that gold paper, should be perfect. And I'm going to push it down, get rid of all that excess glue because I have a lot showing. Now I can re-glue this pocket down. I don't know what I was thinking there. Not gluing this before I glued my pocket. You definitely want to do it first. So I'm going to go ahead and round these out a little bit better now. All right, now this one I'm going to have to notch. And it is 5 5/8, so 2.5. We need to go to, we should be able to just go to 2 and a little bit past 2 3/4. I'm just going to put it on here to be sure. I want this to be right. I need a white pencil. I keep losing my stuff today. So I want to get this right about there as my mid. See if I was correct on the measurement. So just a little bit past 2 3/4 should make it so this fits. Yes, that will work. Kind of. Maybe not. Let's cut it over just a little bit. Let's see what we get. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to glue this down before I glue the next pocket this time. I'm having a major clog here. Yikes. I don't want that little chunk of whatever that was. I'm assuming glue. I'm going to line that up with the black one above it. And I didn't use a white pencil, so I'm going to get rid of that little pencil mark there. There we go. And then the next one. Go ahead and notch this 5 3/4. So we want 2 7/8. And a little past 2 3/4 on the gold should do it. Yep. And then our next piece is exactly 5 1/2, so 2 3/4. Yeah, I almost did that backwards. 2 3/4, right there. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing with the 5 3/4 by 3 inch. We're just going to put our glue, and I'm going to flip it over because I don't want the paper that I wrote on down the half, or the side, across the bottom and up. Line that up perfectly with your black paper on your page. And we will burnish and get rid of excess glue. Now, there are many tutorials out there for doing stacked pockets. Mine are not gusseted. These are just meant to put thin things in, so you don't have to have them gusseted. But if you want to add 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch gussets, you can do that. Just keep in mind, like I said, it will be a little bulkier. Add my gold paper. I chose just to mat the front pocket so that it matches the top portion of the page. And also, again, to save bulk. You can imagine if I did these all, it would be quite bulky. Round this out and add our last piece. You could also ink this to make it look a little more rustic, a little more vintage. All right. That is our final part of the stacked pocket page. Go around and round that out a little. And now, as you can see, you can put things in each one of these pockets and they go all the way down because you've put a backing. If you just put strips across, they would go all the way through. And this, when they're open, lines up with this page, okay? And then lastly, for signature 3, we have our zigzag that we made. Like I said, I've already decorated mine and added some string to the back. I'm just going to grab a piece of Scotch tape before I glue this. And I'm going to tape down so that doesn't move too much. I'm just going to tape down my, and I want this kind of offset because I'm going to be putting these inserts that have tabs that stick out. So I want to make sure this is not right directly on the page all the way. And so this one, you want to glue down the side. And up. And we're actually going to have to, I just thought of this, I probably should have put this elsewhere. I don't know how well that's going to stay because it can come right out. So I'm going to put this over quite far, but not all the way to the edge. Use those polka dots again to line me up, and it should go right with your gold paper. And it should still be fine with the string. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, then I will just take the string out. I didn't think about the fact that we're doing this as a pocket, but it should be fine. I'm going to go to the end one and get all this glue cleaned up and burnished. And we will see how well this is going to work. Yeah, we just have to put our papers, pull up the string when you slide your inserts in, and it'll be fine. So as you can see, I did all my decorating for that on these and on both sides. And I have that bird lantern right there too. And then we'll have a little tag or something in this pocket. This will tie like so. And there you have it. And like I said, I'm going to have these little inserts. Yeah, they work just fine with it like that. It's totally fine. But I used We Are Memory Keepers tab punch board to make these, in case you're wondering. I need to make sure that they are going to fit okay. Yeah, they'll be fine. All right, I'm going to take them out for now so this can dry. I'm actually going to clip this. And then all of your signatures will go on your spine piece on the inside, as you have seen me do many, many times. You put your score tape on both sides, because these are pocket pages. And you can also add glue. I'm not going to put these all the way in because I want to be able to decorate my cover. So this will be our first signature, like so. Open that up. Second signature. And our third signature. And this was what I meant by the stacked pockets. So this came from the bottom of the paper and this came from the top. So they're cohesive. Okay. So that is my album. I hope that you enjoyed my tutorial. And like I said, there'll be a walkthrough also when I get everything embellished and decorated, and anything that I did differently, I will let you know in that walkthrough. And I hope everybody is having an amazing holiday. Today is Thanksgiving for me, but I am crafting. So have a wonderful day.